Ms. Juneman, did you have some comments you'd like to give?
Actually, I'd rather not be here doing this, but now that that's been said. I've always thought that in this position, when you're in a Plan B situation, it's a very unusual situation for elected people to be in if you will, a relationship with someone over whom they have a certain amount of, if you will, rating authority, and yet be totally reliant on that person to do what needs to be done on their behalf on a daily basis. It's a very unusual situation. And it's not the same as any other, if you will, boss-employee situation. It's not the same as any other standard performance appraisal or anything of that nature. And one of the things I've always tried to do, and it's difficult for all of us, whether we recognize it or not, is that no matter who's in the manager's office, that responsibility remains at that level of, I think, almost unattainable, if you will, because of what I just said. We're supposed to be making the policy, and then we're giving it all over to someone to try and make it happen on an operational level from day to day, week to week. And it's a very, very difficult job and situation. And when it comes to our reaction to that person, no matter who it is, it has to a certain extent to do with that person's, be it male or female, so we'll say his because you're male, his, if you will, management style, but our own, each one of us as well. And I don't envy anyone trying to figure out what 5 weirdnicks that the voters insist on putting at the same table have in common and trying to make anything out of it. I mean, that's true always has been for now over 50 years, and always will be. And I do try, and I did even as a citizen, to try and put myself in the position of having to try and make that work. And I think it's, like I said, extremely difficult. I also don't think that, and it's partially because I was here from before, I guess, I don't see any point in, shall we say, knifing and deep sixing the previous administration. Because first of all, we all inherited a city wherever it was. And I don't happen to think this was the worst place on the face of the map before we changed people in these chairs or the person in the management office. And it just really grinds me when we descend to that. I don't care if we disagree on the past. I don't care if we disagree on the present. I don't care if we disagree on the future. That's partially why we're here. Mm-hmm. The electorate tries to see what kind of a team they can put together and if we can get anywhere. I'm not saying they did a terribly good job at this particular time, but anyway, they tried. And I have been trying to work with you, as you know. And I have a different standard of comparison because having been here before. And I did give the previous manager high ratings, and no, it wasn't a hug fest. And yes, it was based on my own personal experience of having to interact with him and work with him. And I would say that it's been a huge adjustment for me because it is a totally different style of management. But I also feel, in all honesty, that I have been let down. And I need you to know that, since we're reviewing. I don't think the communication is consistent across the table. I honestly don't. And I've tried to think of a way to fix it, and I haven't come up with it. I'm not sure what it is, but it's got to be there somewhere. I know that I'm at a, if you will, disadvantage. And I'll mind you, I'm not whining because I don't intend to change this. But, you know, if you can text message or email or whatever that, things happen faster. For me, the dandy old little invention of Alexander Graham Bell was just fine and handy. Has for 6 years and maybe will for 2 more. But I just feel that the communication with all of us isn't consistent, isn't even, isn't equal. And whether that's accurate or not is really, if you think about it, irrelevant. My point is that's how I see it. And I feel that I am not, therefore, if you will, privy is hard, but aware of all the same things that everyone else is. And that needs to change, has to happen. I'm doing my best. I also think that part of what everyone else has said. Everyone has a right to say what they want and how they think. I don't think any of us has a right to tell the other person how to think. We're just supposed to be the five of us telling you how we see your job performance, and it's between me and you and Eric and you and so on. So I'm not going to go there. But from my standpoint, I do expect that there's going to be some improved, if you will, communication. And if I have any critique, I guess it is, on thus far, I mean, your review packet is fine, except it looks more like a state of the city address than your particular performance. And while I know you're ultimately responsible, which I just said, a lot of those things are because we have a good staff who knows what they're up to, and they do it. And it is your job, and I think it varies from week to week on how successful you are, but that's not just you, it's everybody involved, how successful that all is. I do, as long as Eric laid the groundwork for making some expectation, I guess I'm thinking I would really like to see more evidence of confidence in the staff. And that no matter what has happened in the last year and what our individual opinions of it are, it's happened. It's gone, it's done, it's over. We have business to do. And I would really like to see that the people who are in places of any kind of responsibility, but certainly at the management level, and then it dribbles down, have more of an encourage trust factor, because I really feel sometimes it's not there, and I think it's transmitted to us. And I don't like that, because I think we're not making the maximum use of a wonderful pool of talent that we still have. We have an incredible staff. We had an incredible staff a year ago, and we still do. And we've made some changes. Okay, they're done. We need to move forward. But I need to have that piece addressed. You and I can talk about it if you want to. But I would like to see people more encouraged. I would like to see when something comes to this table where any one of us picks at it, which we have a tendency to do, just let it land wherever it lands. And sometimes it's going to land on you because you're the operations manager. So if it lands on you, let it land there. Don't pawn it off on someone else, please. Seriously. I mean, just take it. And if you think it belongs to someone else, then at the staff meeting or wherever you do that, take care of it. But I just think all of us need to be united with you when we're in this room, at least, trying to make the place operate. And part of that has to do with we have to try and learn to trust ourselves and each other and all of our staff. And I have always pretty much inherently trusted them, and you can critique that if you want, I don't care. But I think the quality people who have been attracted here for a long time have always done really good work. I do. Overall, we are very fortunate. And I want to cultivate the people we still have. And I want us to, from this table, to see it. And some of it does need to come from you, where you say this, you know, this is how the staff has done this, and they don't need correction on a lot of things. I mean, you know, God knows we shouldn't be telling Chuck how to run the roads. I mean, we really don't have a whole lot of business telling Steve what to do with firefighters in a detailed way. And I would appreciate, I guess, to see some greater level of confidence in your staff, because they're our staff and they're good people. And I do need our communications style to change. Because, to be real blunt, I feel like I come to a surprise party every other Monday night sometimes, and that needs to stop. Because I do not think any one of the 5 people at this table should be on the outside looking in. And whether we see it that way individually, person to person, is totally irrelevant. We don't have to like each other. We don't have to go for coffee. We don't have to do that stuff. We are elected to do a job together, and it is your job to see that we all do it. And it has a great deal to do with what you communicate to us and your expectation of us. Because even though you can't critique us, you know very well that how we do it and how we react to it affects whether you can make it happen or not.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Juneman.